Hello, friends. It's Chapo.
This is Felix Biederman speaking. For
Felix, it's great to have you.
Oh, hi, Felix. So, yeah, let's welcome Felix Biederman, Matt Christensen. Is that correct?
Correct.
I don't
yes.
really.
I think so. I don't really remember.
Okay, and Will Menaker. We're so happy to have you, folks.
Pleased to be here.
some people would say this is a high pressure situation, but I always thought of us as like a Kobe Bryant type podcast after the allegations, where we were constantly in the same way that his on-court performance determined what would happen in the other court. Our performance on the show is
This
what
is
kept
exactly
us out
the
of
case,
prison.
yeah.
We were always,
Yeah.
in a sense, recording for our own freedom.
That is true. Yeah, that's definitely true.
It's interesting
I
that you
think
refer to the allegations and not. Do you still think of these as allegations? Is that's kind of
I'm from a different time.
okay?
Because in our experience and knowledge of the event, this was recorded, and then you released this on your podcast, and then you were frozen. I mean, do you guys remember why you made the choice to release that podcast episode?
The one where we talked to the Kobe Bryant AI.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Do you guys remember?
Experimentation. Same reason you do any episode.
My memory is a little hazy now. I'm gotta be honest. I'm having a little trouble remembering the last 25, 30, 40 years of my life. Still a little bit chilly here.
I've
I
heard
just like
that
someone to.
cryo-freeze can have that effect. Yeah.
I'm now 66 years young, but I don't look a day over 20. So I got that going for
That's
me.
true.
But I gotta say, I'm a little bit confused about what's going on now.
That's understandable, and I think that makes sense.
I think that the issue was more than the Kobe Bryant AI, but that was a huge part of it.
That was definitely kind of one step toward, what ended up happening. One big step, I'd say.
Yeah.
That AI, we tried to get the technology recreated so that we could have that AI on today's episode, but unfortunately, President Zengai, the outlawed that technology several years ago.
Him. Yeah, he nixed it. But I mean, it was really interesting that you guys decided to employ a version of the Kobe AI post plane crash. Most of the time, he was just screaming during the interview.
Well, realism is important.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of caught up on what's happened to me in the last 25 years. I'm reading my own Wikipedia article. We can get what's happened to me, but I am interested in, we've missed 25 years of events. And that's approximately, it's over 1,100 episodes. Has there, you guys were going over, Zengaya's pronouns. Has there been a he, they president in 25 years?
There actually has been one he, they president.
Hunter Biden.
Wow.
Yeah, Hunter Biden is changed pronouns to he, they, became transgender, and actually
But just kind of lightly.
Just people disagree over how transgender that really makes you, but I would say pretty transgender. And he actually only served for a few weeks as the president of the United States. There was a little bit of an incident. I don't know. Are we allowed to talk about that, Grace?
I think we're allowed. I mean, to prove he was non-binary with it, he dipped a joint in estriadol valerate, and apparently smoking estrogen kills you on the spot.
It's not good for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, you really got to inject that stuff.
Will Menaker here with a question for our future podcast hosts. Like I said, I'm a little bit confused. I'm a little bit new to this.
Sure.
Is the Zengaya regime friendly to the podcast? And approximately what percentage of the United States is trans now?
Yeah, so the Zengaya regime, the Zengaya administration is actually very friendly to this podcast. I mean, we're a nationalized podcast. We are part of the U.S. Department of Podcasting. So we are, state-sponsored, state-funded. Not propaganda, though. We're not propaganda. That's a different thing, okay? We're just state-sponsored and state-funded.
We are just kind of funded to keep the vibes up, right? To keep the country having kind of a fireside chat moment a couple times every week and
Totally.
4 times every week if you prescribe to the Patreon.
Totally.
So we are nationalized, and we are actually kind of there's kind of a requirement to listen to us. President Zengaya, we're kind of her mouthpiece, but not, or his mouthpiece, but not in a propagandistic way at all.
Yeah, there's nothing propagandistic about being a nationalized podcast.
Yeah,
you know,
there's no propaganda here, because we're all just friends. Like, we agree with everything President Zengaya says. So like, we're not forced to say it, because like we just fucking, like, the estate tax sucks. Like, we agree with that too, you know?
Also, to answer your question, Will, about, you know, what population of the U.S. is trans, these days, the way that transgender is defined in the legislation,
basically 100%.
Basically 100. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much
99.5, 100.
Well,
When you break that down, like
That's good to
2%
hear.
are full trans, and 98% are kind of trans with it.
Yeah, I mean, being
Okay.
trans is kind of anything. You know, if you're a guy who doesn't lift weights, like, that's kind of gay, and even
That's,
kind of
yeah,
trans.
that's pretty gay of you.
Wait a second.
You know?
Wait a second. Okay. You're telling me that in the future, a guy who spends a lot of time at the gym isn't gay?
In today.
Oh.
This is the year 20. I know your memory's a little hazy, but you've been frozen for 25 years. You've been woken up by the state. The year is 2049.
Oh, fuck.
Currently.
So it now, basically how it works is, if you spend a lot of time at the gym, you are regular gay, but if you don't, you are kind of gay with it, which means trans.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I'm nearly a 50-year-old man. You know, depending on whether you count cryogenic years, right?
Yes.
That's something I'm gonna have to.
Felix, you were 24 years old when you were imprisoned.
Yeah, I was 24. So okay, I've been reading my Wikipedia. I am a trillionaire. You know, I don't have to do this show. They licensed the concept I came up with right before they froze me. The Dead Wife Club, my true crime series. It's gone on to become an international franchise. True crime movies about real guys whose wives died both naturally and unnaturally. I don't have to do this unless I believe in it. So I'm gonna have to ask like a few questions. Okay.
Well,
I actually
you
have a
do
question.
have to do this. Okay.
I have a
yes.
question.
Yeah, Matt.
Felix was 24 when he was put in the cryostasis.
Yes.
Now he has been unthawed. Can he legally rent a car?
It's a great question.
He cannot legally rent a car.
He actually can't legally do very much at all these days.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed in regards to what anyone legally can do. I can't legally rent a car. April can't legally rent a car. Because
Have we finally outlawed women drivers?
they finally outlawed women
Oh,
drivers.
thank God.
And they've also outlawed most driving to prevent age gap relationships.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's done.
that's done.
It's
Okay,
done.
I'm 24.
It's done.
God, what the fuck is the point of
Yeah.
$1 trillion if those are illegal?
You're not 24 anymore, Felix. You need to
Yeah, if you were 50,
accept
you
it.
couldn't fuck anyone younger than 49. But since you're 24, you can pretty much fuck anybody 23 up. But if someone 26 or above fucks you, then you are entitled to half of their estate.
Okay. What does a 49-year-old look like now? Like your average 49-year-old
Pretty bad.
woman. Oh, really? What happened?
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Basically, what happened is Zengaya is now, approaching his older years. And Zengaya has a pretty solid jealousy problem. So she is making all men and women over 40 take supplements that are basically lead. They're really affecting their skin. They're put like the pussy smells bad. The pussy smells rank and disgusting. We're talking about like a sick fish. And also dick of people taking these lead supplement basically smells like bad pussy. So it's not a good scene.
So April and Grace, basically what you're telling me is that I'm the most attractive 66-year-old man on the planet who's the only one whose dick doesn't smell like bad pussy.
You actually probably are
100%.
in this.
But
Yeah.
sadly, as soon as the Gaia sees how hot you are, you're going to be in a Logan's Run situation.
Can we go back in? Like, can we go back in until there's like a Republican and he or she or they get in there and they're like, hey, we're bringing back leathery 49-year-olds.
Great news. Zendaya is a Republican.
Okay.
And also a Democrat. Zendaya is kind of and also he's been president for about 23 and a half years.
So Zendaya has become something of a dictator, would you say? Or am I allowed to say that now?
No, I would not say that.
Okay.
I would not say that.
Okay.
I would not say that. I would
gang,
not say that.
I would like to learn more about this strange new world I find myself in, but I'm a little confused as to what happened in now what I regarded as, like next week, but apparently that didn't happen. I mean, just could you fill me in here on was it interviewing the Kobe Bryant artificial intelligence that landed us in cryogenic prison? Because is it what could I'd like to change that. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see it. What did I do?
It wasn't strictly interviewing the Kobe AI. There were a lot of moving parts here.
But should we talk about the last straw, April?
I guess if they don't remember.
Felix, you seem to remember the most. Felix, what do you think was the last straw?
I'm 25 years old currently, so a lot of this is actually before my time. So
yeah, and
I wasn't there.
I'm 21.
Okay, I mean, like I said, I think I'm the only one among us who just been reading his own Wikipedia article. It's been maintained by a group called the Biederman Group.
Yeah, we've given you all computers. You're welcome to check out anything you like on there.
It appears that in 2023 and 2024, I made a lot of comments about white female Asian male dating. I don't really remember why I made these comments. I don't know why I got into this issue. I'm not of Asian descent. I don't know what the politics are now. I don't know if people would consider me white.
Do you remember making those comments?
No. This is I did like 2 years of content on this. This really upset people.
That's so wild because like nowadays dating has been outlawed because of the privilege differential. Zendaya made that happen pretty soon after.
It's essentially, I think we can all agree it's essentially abusive to date, outside of
we can all agree that.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we thought when we went in,
I think we can all
sort
agree.
of the same thing. I mean, like, okay, am I responsible for this? Getting the country on this dating thing? Like, against
yes, I would say, yeah.
In part, I think what the Zendaya regime did was inspired by your comments, years later.
You guys were frozen right after Hunter Biden came into power.
Totally.
And Hunter Biden is a huge fan of when guys date Asian women, when white guys date Asian women, when Asian women take white guys, when Asian guys date white women. And so he was really offended by everything you'd been saying and put you into cryogenic freezing. And you actually, when Zendaya rose to power, it was just kind of forgotten that you were frozen for a while.
So I've spent what you're telling to me is that I've spent a quarter century as a fucking popsicle